You spent $80 on protein powder last month. You will spend another $80 next month. You will continue handing money to supplement companies for the rest of your life, convinced that protein requires factories, processing facilities, and complex supply chains to reach your body. You've been lied to. There is a plant that contains more protein than beef, more protein than eggs, more protein than any legume ever measured. It doubles its biomass every 48 hours. It grows in a bucket of water on your balcony. It requires no soil, no fertilizer, no expertise, and approximately 5 minutes to set up. 1 square meter of surface area produces more protein per year than an entire acre of soybeans. NASA studied it as the primary food source for long-term space missions. Asian populations have eaten it for centuries, and the $80 billion protein industry has made absolutely certain you've never heard of it. The plant is duckweed. It is the fastest growing, highest protein crop on Earth, and you can start growing unlimited protein tonight for the cost of a plastic container and a handful of starter plants. Duckweed does not look like food. It looks like green scum floating on the surface of a pond. Each individual plant is smaller than a fingernail, a simple oval leaf with a single root dangling into the water below. It has no stem. It has no flowers for most of its life cycle. It reproduces by budding, splitting into new plants continuously as long as conditions remain favourable. Most people see duckweed and think contamination. They think neglect. They think something has gone wrong with the water. This perception is not accidental. A plant that produces complete protein faster than any agricultural system ever developed. A plant that requires no land ownership, no equipment, no seed purchases, no fertilizer contracts. This plant had to be made invisible. And the simplest way to make something invisible is to make it disgusting. You have been trained to see abundance as waste. You have been trained to see food as something that requires payment. Duckweed violates both assumptions, which is why you have never been told what it actually is. The nutritional profile is almost impossible to believe. Laboratory analysis consistently shows duckweed containing between 35 and 45% protein by dry weight. Soybeans contain 34%, beef contains 26%, eggs contain 13%. Duckweed outperforms every conventional protein source while requiring a fraction of the resources to produce. But protein quantity is only half the equation. Protein quality matters more. Duckweed contains all 9 essential amino acids in ratios that closely match the World Health Organization's reference pattern for human nutrition. It is a complete protein source, something vanishingly rare in the plant kingdom. Most plant proteins lack adequate lysine or methionine. Duckweed provides both. The amino acid profile is so complete that researchers have described it as comparable to animal protein in biological value. You could meet your entire daily protein requirement from duckweed alone, and your body would absorb and utilize it as efficiently as protein from steak. The nutritional density extends far beyond protein. Duckweed contains omega-3 fatty acids at concentrations rivaling fish. It contains more beta-carotene than carrots. It contains calcium, iron, zinc, manganese, and phosphorus in bioavailable forms. It contains B vitamins, including B12, a vitamin almost never found in plant sources and typically requiring supplementation for vegans and vegetarians. A single food that provides complete protein, essential fatty acids, and B12 should have revolutionized nutrition science. Instead, it remains virtually unknown to the populations who need it most. The American obesity epidemic, the global protein shortage, the environmental catastrophe of industrial animal agriculture, all of these crises have a solution floating on pond surfaces across the planet. The solution has been ignored because it cannot be monetized at scale by existing agricultural infrastructure. The history of duckweed consumption spans continents and millennia. In Southeast Asia, duckweed has been cultivated and eaten for centuries under names that translate to water eggs and water lentils. Vietnamese farmers grow it in ponds alongside rice paddies, harvesting it as a protein-rich vegetable to supplement grain-heavy diets. Thai cuisine incorporates duckweed into soups, salads, and stir-fries. Burmese and Laotian populations have traditional preparations passed down through generations. The plant was never exotic to cultures that maintained relationships with their waterways. It was simply food, abundant and reliable, available to anyone with access to still water and sunlight. European peasant populations also consumed duckweed during famines when conventional crops failed. Records from medieval Germany and the Netherlands document its use as survival food. The knowledge existed. The practice existed. Industrial agriculture did not erase duckweed because it was inadequate. Industrial agriculture erased duckweed because it was too adequate, too accessible, too independent of the supply chains that generate profit. Modern science has validated duckweed with an enthusiasm bordering on disbelief. NASA's Controlled Ecological Life Support System program identified duckweed as the optimal food crop for space missions in the 1980s. The reasoning was straightforward. Duckweed produces more edible biomass per unit of energy input than any other plant. It recycles nutrients from wastewater, purifying it while generating food. It requires no soil to transport, no complex growing systems to maintain, and no pollination to reproduce. A small duckweed system could theoretically feed astronauts indefinitely using only recycled water, recycled nutrients, and artificial light. NASA published extensive research. They developed cultivation protocols. They analyzed nutritional outcomes in controlled studies. The findings were unambiguous. Duckweed was the most efficient food production system ever documented. Then funding dried up. The research was archived. The most promising solution to feeding humans in space or anywhere else was quietly shelved while NASA focused on missions that did not threaten terrestrial agricultural interests. The growth rate is what makes duckweed truly revolutionary. Under optimal conditions, duckweed biomass doubles every 24 to 48 hours. No other food crop approaches this speed. Corn takes 90 days from planting to harvest. Soybeans take 100 days. Wheat takes 120 days. Duckweed is ready to harvest continuously every single day, as fast as you can remove it from the water. 1 kilogram becomes 2 kilograms in 2 days, 4 kilograms in 4 days, and 8 kilograms in 6 days. The mathematics are exponential. A small starter culture becomes a significant food source within weeks. A dedicated growing system produces more protein per year than most families could consume. The limiting factor is not biology. The limiting factor is surface area. But surface area is the one resource that duckweed democratizes. You do not need land. You do not need acreage. You need a container that holds water and receives sunlight. A plastic storage bin works. A kiddie pool works. A bathtub works. Any vessel that holds still water becomes a protein production facility. The setup requires no expertise and virtually no investment. It is simple. You need a container at least 6 inches deep. You need still water, preferably not chlorinated, though leaving tap water out for 24 hours allows chlorine to dissipate. You need a handful of starter duckweed, available online for a few dollars or free from any pond where it grows naturally. You need sunlight, either natural or from a simple grow light. You add a tiny amount of nutrients, either commercial aquatic plant fertilizer or simply a few drops of diluted urine, which contains the nitrogen and phosphorus duckweed requires. Then you wait. Within days, the surface begins to fill. Within weeks, you are harvesting. You skim the excess duckweed from the surface, rinse it and consume it fresh, dried or blended into other foods. The system is self-perpetuating. As long as you leave some duckweed in the container, it continues reproducing. As long as you add water and occasional nutrients, it continues growing. 5 minutes of setup, 2 minutes of daily maintenance. Unlimited protein for life. So why does the $80 billion protein industry not want you to know this? The answer is the explanation that underlies every suppression of accessible nutrition. Duckweed cannot be patented. It cannot be genetically modified in ways that require annual seed purchases. It cannot be processed into proprietary formulations that justify premium pricing. It grows without the pesticides that chemical companies sell. It grows without the fertilizers that agricultural conglomerates distribute. It grows without the land that farmers must rent or mortgage. It grows without the equipment that manufacturers finance. Every dollar you do not spend on protein powder, on meat, on supplements, on the entire infrastructure of industrial nutrition, represents lost revenue for corporations that have captured the food system. Duckweed is not merely an alternative. Duckweed is an exit. It allows individuals to step outside the protein economy entirely. No industry willingly promotes its own obsolescence. The environmental implications are equally threatening to existing systems. Beef production requires 1,800 gallons of water per pound of protein. Soybean production requires 250 gallons. Duckweed production requires a small fraction of either, and the water is not consumed but recycled continuously in a closed system. Cattle ranching drives deforestation across the Amazon. Soy monocultures deplete soil and require massive pesticide applications. Duckweed grows in contained systems that occupy no agricultural land and generate no runoff. The carbon footprint of animal protein is destroying the climate. Duckweed absorbs carbon dioxide and releases oxygen, actively reversing the damage. If even 5% of global protein consumption shifted to duckweed, the environmental benefits would exceed every green initiative currently being discussed at international climate summits. The reason this shift is not being discussed is because the discussion itself would expose the inefficiency and destruction of systems that generate tremendous profit for concentrated interests. The resistance is beginning to crack. Researchers in Israel, the Netherlands, and Singapore have launched commercial duckweed protein operations. The Israeli company Hinoman markets duckweed under the name Mankai and has received regulatory approval in multiple countries. Studies on Mankai consumption showed improved glycemic control, enhanced satiety, and superior protein bioavailability compared to conventional plant proteins. Michelin star restaurants have begun incorporating duckweed into high-end cuisine, rebranding the pond scum of popular imagination as a delicacy. The perception shift is underway, but commercial operations still require you to purchase their products at prices that extract profit from a plant that costs almost nothing to produce. The true revolution is not duckweed protein isolate in designer packaging. The true revolution is the bucket on your balcony producing more protein than you can eat, month after month, year after year, for the cost of water and sunlight. The knowledge is now in your possession. You understand that the fastest growing food crop on Earth has been hidden in plain sight on pond surfaces across every continent. You understand that the protein you've been purchasing at premium prices can be grown for free in any container of still water. You understand that the same industries profiting from your dependence have systematically ensured you never learn this information. The setup takes 5 minutes. The container costs a few dollars. Starter duckweed ships to any address or grows in any pond you can access. Within 1 month you will be harvesting. Within 3 months you will have more protein than you need. Within 1 year, you will look at protein powder prices and grocery store meat and wonder why anyone pays for something that nature provides for free. The $80 billion protein industry depends on your ignorance. Your independence begins the moment you stop paying for what you can now grow. The bucket is waiting. The duckweed is waiting. Thanks for watching. Click here to check out another video and make sure to hit subscribe.